Mr. Edward Chia.
Mr. Speaker, sir, with your permission, I will respond to the questions from Parliamentary Questions 8 to 16.
Yes, please.
Thank you. On the employment outcomes and support for workers, and I hope to give a more holistic reply. Now, I thank all the members for their concern for our job seekers amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. On the whole, the labour market continued its gradual recovery in the first half of 2021. Although the ratio of job vacancies to unemployed persons reached a high of 1.63 in June 2021. So we've got very, very high job vacancies relative to unemployed persons. However, many of these openings were in the construction sector, where the shortage has been due to public health border measures. Now, there were also pockets of recovery in other sectors. Hence, resident employment grew. So resident employment grew and unemployment continued to ease. However, the labour market has clearly not fully recovered. So therefore, we must continue to remain vigilant, maintain our support measures for the affected workers, and we will continue to leave no stone unturned in helping all locals who need our support. In particular, the 2.2 billion SG United Jobs and Skills package has helped to cushion the impact of COVID-19 on the labour market since its launch in April last year. Thanks to the efforts of our tripartite partners and the National Jobs Council, around 128,000 local job seekers have been placed into jobs and skills opportunities as at end July 2021. The supported job seekers reflect the profile of our workforce. Close to 6 in 10 placements into jobs and skills opportunities went to mid-career PMETs. Workforce Singapore, or WSG, saw a large increase in placements through Career Conversion Programs, or CCPs, with more than 14,000 locals supported. WSG and NTUC's Employment and Employability Institute, or E2I, expanded their service touchpoints, with 24 new SG United Jobs and Skills Centres established island-wide in every HDB town. We have also appointed ADECO as the first SG United placement partner to offer another avenue for mature workers aged 40 and above, long-term unemployed job seekers or persons with disabilities to access professional career matching services. Close to 44,000 job seekers found jobs through these career matching services. Members have asked about specific worker segments, and let me address these questions. Dr. Tan Yaswan, Mr. Edward Chia, Mr. Sharil Taha were concerned about workers being displaced from distressed sectors. We are supporting such workers through a variety of ways. The first and most important priority is to save jobs. The Jobs Support Scheme has disbursed more than $27.6 billion as of September 2021, with most support going towards the hardest hit sectors. This is helping companies preserve their workforce skills and competencies, and we are continually recalibrating our support based on each sector's specific needs and recovery trajectory. The most affected sectors, such as F&B services, retail and hotels, have rolled out job redesign, reskilling programs with WSG's assistance. They're using the downtime to train, to upskill existing workers to take on redesigned and enhanced job roles as part of the industry transformation. We have reskilled and redeployed close to 9,000 workers through these programs. Second, we stand ready to support some of the workers who may have to leave their jobs. The number of retrenchments rose to about 26,000 in 2020. although the incidence of retrenchment remained lower than past recessionary years. Retrenchment numbers have improved since the fourth quarter of 2020 and has decreased to 2,340 in the second quarter of 2021. This is comparable to levels seen in 2018 and 2019. Notwithstanding Phase 2 heightened alert earlier this year, affected sectors such as F&B services, retail, trade and arts, entertainment and recreation did not see elevated retrenchments, as more employers put workers on short work week or temporary layoffs instead. We are closely monitoring post-retrenchment outcomes. Amongst all retrenched residents, the 6-month re-entry rate was 64.4% in the second quarter of 2021. This is an improvement from 61.6% in 2020. This is also comparable to pre-COVID re-entry rates in 2018 and 2019. The Tripartite Retrenchment Task Force follows up with every notified retrenchment by proactively reaching out to the affected workers and offering them employment assistance. This includes providing information kits on career resources, briefings on available employment facilitation, and one-on-one coaching by WSG and NTUC E2I's career coaches. Third, we encourage companies who need workers to create jobs. We provide the Jobs Growth Incentive, JGI, to support employers expand local hiring. From September 2020 to May 2021, we supported 58,000 businesses to hire more than 400,000 locals. 4 in 10 were in growth sectors such as wholesale trade, professional services, and information and communications, while 1 in 5 were in the recovering F&B services and retail sectors. Encouragingly, half of the JGI supported hires were not employed at the point of hire. And 6 in 10, I think this is in reference to the Honourable Member of Parliament Jessica's earlier question, and 6 in 10 earn the same or higher pay compared to their last drawn. I also recently announced the extension of the JGI to March 2022 to secure the labour market recovery and to support our local job seekers. JGI provides additional support when employers hire mature workers, persons with disabilities, as well as ex-offenders. Each of such hire could attract up to $36,000 of JGI support. I strongly encourage and urge all of our companies looking to recruit to not delay their plans and bring forward their hires. Mr. Yip Hong Wing asked about support for senior workers to stay in their current jobs or to pivot to new jobs in other industries. We should be encouraged by the resilience of our senior workers. Notwithstanding the recession, the employment rate of those aged 60 and above increased slightly from 38.5% in 2019 to 39% in 2020. As mentioned in my response to Ms. Yeo Wan Ling and Ms. Jessica Tan just now, the government has introduced the Senior Worker Support Package in 2020 with a budget of $1.5 billion to support employers in hiring and retaining senior workers over 3 years. Now, I will not go over the details a second time. I think all of you would have gotten the handout earlier on as well. Mr. Yip also asked about platform workers. Platform workers are a diverse group, and we are very committed to supporting them in their plans. Many in a feedback survey to us tell us that they prefer such work because of the flexibility and the autonomy it affords. For them, we have recently established an advisory committee on platform workers. This committee will consult widely and examine, get feedback from industry to see how they can be better supported. For those looking to transit to regular employment, WSG and NTUC's E2I offer career matching services, including career coaching employability workshops, and job fairs. For example, in 2021, NTUC's E2I conducted several career reinvention workshops in collaboration with the National Private Hire Vehicles Association and NTUC Learning Hub to help platform drivers explore new career pathways. In addition, digital services like the MCF portal, MCF stands for My Careers Future, portal can be accessed at all hours of the day. The whole range of SG United Jobs and Skills Package support is also available to them. We know that it's challenging for platform workers to transit to regular employment. But WSG will continue to put in its best effort to support them in their job search. Ms. Henny So, Mr. Yip Hong Wing, Mr. Liang Inghua asked about how job seekers are matched to job vacancies. Mr. Speaker, sir, our labour market exists in a constant state of dynamic flux and creative tension. It would not be possible to match all job vacancies with job seekers perfectly. We understand and we appreciate this, and more so especially when we or our loved ones are looking for a job. It always helps to have as wide an option base as possible and to choose the best option that's available. But if vacancies are accumulating and they are left unfilled, it also indicates that the labour market is having difficulty in accessing and finding the right talent to fill these vacancies, and businesses have to continue to run. Now, our latest available data from 2020 show that about 27% of job vacancies were unfilled for 6 months or more. This is actually down slightly from pre-COVID situation. In September, I set up the Jobs Task Force to coordinate efforts across key government agencies to enable more locals to take up in-demand jobs with good wages and prospects in key sectors of our economy, such as financial services and infocom and technology. The Jobs Task Force will work closely with tripartite partners and employers to make and enable the labour market to function even better. Some vacancies take longer to fill because the wage or working conditions may not be as attractive as other options available to job seekers. If they remain persistently unfilled, businesses may have to redesign the job roles. They may even have to review their strategies. WSG offers job redesign support under the Productivity Solutions Grant, or PSG-JR, which was launched in December 2020. Through PSG-JR, enterprises can receive support to work with pre-approved job redesign consultants to redesign their work processes, the tasks, and the responsibilities. We welcome all enterprises to come on board to troubleshoot any difficulties they may face in hiring new workers and growing their businesses, especially in our Singapore core. Other vacancies may persist because the employer is hoping to get someone who is already fully trained and ready to jump straight into the job from day one. We are helping employers to go beyond the plug and play mindset and approach by supporting CCPs, or your career conversion programs. Employers who have adopted this approach have found that people recruited through CCPs are a good fit. About 9 in 10 of the people placed through CCPs remain employed after 24 months, and about 7 in 10 earn more than their last drawn salaries. Finally, some vacancies persist because of a shortage of skills in the workforce and amongst job seekers. Our industries are digitalizing rapidly, and as pointed out by Mr. Yip Hon Wing, Ms. Yo Wan Ling, and Mr. Edward Chia, digital competencies are very highly sought after. Mr. Yip has asked about the number of workers who have been given employment assistance to cope with digital disruption. As digitalization accelerates, it has affected jobs to varying degrees. First, many jobs would require workers to acquire basic digital literacy skills, such as learning how to use digital communication platforms to market a product. Second, some jobs will require workers to learn how to implement digital technology, such as robotic process automation, to automate processes or to perform more complex analysis. Third, there will be growing demand for deep tech skills, which will bring us into the next bound of digital transformation. Many workers in the first category will make this transition seamlessly. However, some will need additional support. Hence, we work with unions, trade associations and chambers, TACs, companies and educational institutions to scaffold their learning. Under the SME Digital Reboot Program, Ngee Polytechnic and NTUC Learning Hub will work with 500 SMEs to provide workers with training in areas such as digital marketing and digital communication. IMDA also drives digital adoption among vulnerable segments under the SG Digital Office, while the National Library Board runs a range of digital readiness programs on digital work skills, competencies, and emerging technologies. Now, moving on to the second category, where we will see more workers becoming implementers of digital technology. This is already happening rapidly in sectors such as logistics and manufacturing, where digital technology is embedded in the physical world, or what we term as Industry 4.0. To help workers and companies ride on the opportunities presented by Industry 4.0 to transform and digitalize, WSG has partnered with the Singapore Business Federation, or SBF, to launch the Industry 4.0 Human Capital Initiative, or IHCI, to encourage companies in these sectors to trial and adopt Industry 4.0 technologies early, while developing their workforce digital competencies to ensure that workers can grow alongside their companies. Thus far, close to 90 companies have come on board the IHCI, with an additional 210 expected to do so by September 2022. So we hope that by the third quarter, we'll have 300 companies onboarding the IHCI. Parallel to this effort, the unions and employers have also established more than 600 company training committees, or CTCs, where they work closely together to drive business and workforce transformation, including in digital competencies. The third category of jobs, where deep tech skills are required, is also where we see some of the highest demand across the economy. IMDA's Tech Skills Accelerator, or TESA program, the initiative, serves to meet this demand, having placed and trained more than 10,000 locals in good tech jobs since 2016, with 2,500 placed last year in 2020. Locals placed through TESA has taken on jobs such as systems analysts or data scientists across sectors including information and communications, financial services, professional services, manufacturing, and wholesale trade and retail. Now, I know that business and workforce transformation can be daunting, and that is why we've set aside $10 million to develop JTMs, or Jobs Transformation Maps. The JTMs are detailed sectoral manpower studies that map out the impact of technology and digitalization on individual jobs over the medium term. They serve as useful compass for employers, in particular our SMEs and workers, to prepare themselves for future jobs and skills. We have already launched 3 JTMs: human resources, logistics, and financial services. 12 more are in progress. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, sir, the road ahead will continue to be uneven and bumpy. However, I am confident that with the government and tripartite partners continuing to work closely, and just as importantly, with your concerns, with your collective efforts, we will be able to help our businesses, our workers, to emerge stronger together. Thank you very much.
Mr. Yip Hon Wing. Mr. Speaker, sir, I thank the Minister for his reply. I have two SQs. The first pertains to question 10. It's important that our workforce is equipped with the necessary skill sets to deal with the structural changes in our economy post-COVID. How does the Ministry track whether these training and employment assistance are fit for purpose, ensuring that there are right workers equipped with the right skills in the right sectors? And what will be the KPIs for tracking outcomes for success? My second SQ pertains to question 12. In terms of plans and strategies for our workforce and companies, can the Ministry share in greater details what is insufficient today and what must change? And what must our workforce and companies aspire to do, and when these plans must be firmed up to prepare for the opening of our economy? Thank you.
I thank Mr. Yip for his question. To his first question, as part of the industry transformation map planning, the Manpower Ministry and the Education Ministry work very closely with the different sector agencies to identify emerging and in-demand skills for jobs in the various sectors. This will then enable the training providers and the IHLs, or the institutes of higher learnings, to refine their course offerings to make it more relevant, to make it more targeted, more specific for the industry needs. Doing so will help to ensure that our workers have the necessary skill sets to take on good jobs. In addition, under my other portfolio in the MTI itself, through EDB, through ESG, we've got various market readiness grants. There's also the Global Innovation Network, Alliance Network, with the Global Connect Network, that we work very closely with SPF to try to see the needs, the industry trends in many of the developed countries all over the world, and to see how we can continue to keep our local workforce abreast of changes, to keep them ahead, and to keep them competitively sharp. I hope that answers your first question. Now, to your second point about plans and strategies for our workforce and companies. Indeed, this pandemic has accelerated disruption and transformation, and it's highlighted very clearly the need for businesses to strengthen the resilience, as well as to have to constantly think about the disruptive changes that would come and to diversify. Now, this would not just apply to business transformation, but also to the workforce transformation as well, to keep our workers adapt, to keep them agile and nimble. So emerging trends today that we can see, such as automation and digitalization, have radically transformed and changed the way we work, with remote work becoming more prevalent across many workplaces. To retain our competitive advantage, to find good, sustainable jobs for Singaporeans, our efforts to continue to transform and innovate our economy must continue, so that we can strengthen, we can fortify our business environment, we can ensure that Singapore always remains the preferred hub, the preferred location for trade, for investment, particularly in new emerging growth areas, for instance, like additive manufacturing, in fintech. The anchoring of global companies which meet our desired profile and the aspirations of Singaporeans will help to preserve, spur the creation of good jobs, strengthen our Singapore core. And I think that point that we debated so long yesterday adds to the fact that we must continue to reinforce trust, reinforce the credibility, our reputation that other economies have, the faith and trust in us through the years and hopefully through the decades ahead. So we must also sustain efforts to help Singaporeans build skills which is relevant to the global talent marketplace. So we've started the Skills Future movement. We've complemented it with a more nuanced, a more targeted career conversion program. And these programs have actually helped many Singaporeans take up new jobs in growth areas. At the same time, we are also looking to enhance, to build up our CET pipeline, ahead of demand in key growth areas in the green economy. So many of these initiatives come, they converge, we distill them out, and we develop a very targeted approach to help our fellow Singaporeans. Thank you.
Ms. Yeo Wan Leng.
Thank you. Many of my middle-aged residents have faced difficulties traversing the new digital normal, and many have admitted they are left behind in Singapore's drive to be digital. Many are unable to use with confidence online applications, even such as simple ones like SingPass Online, or even download an e-copy of their CPF, much less so becoming overnight digital marketeers or social media influencers. My residents have told me their frustrations after taking classes and courses that employers have told them that those classes are irrelevant to the job roles that they are seeking. Would the ministry consider working with companies then on identifying key digital skills and the appropriate courses, perhaps across the many different skill sets, perhaps on the Skills Future platform, that would allow our less digitally inclined workers to be on a level playing field with digital natives in the hiring process and in future in job promotions?
Thank you, Ms. Yeo. I think these are very pertinent points. For the training part in terms of the elderly residents, we do have SG Digital Ambassadors who actually go around to teach them. And for those even with literacy skills, I think National Library, NLB itself also has a whole slew of programs to help them transform as well. But I think what you have actually hit on is a key issue with this, which is really making sure that when companies and when the workforce innovate, when they digitalize and so on, they must be relevant to the needs of the company. And to that end, that is really a huge drive by WSG to develop these career conversion programs because they are working with the company. On top of that, NTUC, I think Patrick would sort of share, they have these CTCs, the company training committees, again, working with the companies to understand the needs and to see how we can actually help to redesign, perhaps if the jobs needed to be redesigned, or to actually help to train our local workforce, our Singaporean core, to be adept and to be able to sort of fit into the expectations of the company. Now, beyond that, I've also shared earlier on that I've also formed this jobs task force to understand where the gaps are when there's an inability to clear that match. So there are multiple initiatives at different levels to try to reach out to as many Singaporeans as possible. Thank you.
Mr. Edward Shah.
Thank you, Speaker. First of all, I'd like to thank really MOM and all the officers for the hard work in really retraining and reskilling our workforce during this very challenging time. I want to ask you for Minister, as there will always be a laggard effect in reskilling, what is the Minister's assessment of the potential structural impact on the labour market should job vacancies remain elevated? Thank you.
I thank Mr. Edward Chia for his question. I think we constantly worry about that. I think that is what keeps all of us in the Manpower Ministry, and also I believe Min Chan is here in the Ministry of Education, up on our toes all the time in working and identifying. I think the key thing is that in the growth sector, in renewable, sustainability, the renewable energy sector, in the fintech, in the ICT space, in the wholesale trade, in areas where there are growth, these are the areas that we targeted. So we prioritize ensuring that the training, the upskilling, the reskilling of our Singaporean core remains on track so that we minimize the lag. Contemporaneously, we also, through our global network of the innovation alliances and so on, see what lies ahead and how do we even prep our workforce to stay ahead of the curve all the time. And this is something that we do. I think for the rest who do feel, who do have that space, for, who sort of have that lag or experience that lag in terms of the hiring, we do have a number of initiatives and programs that we roll out to help them to catch up, and also to actually ensure that they are able to keep up in terms of the pivoting. Now, I think if I were to go into the details of each one of the scheme, it probably would take us another sort of a session. But I think suffice to say that there are a whole slew of all these programs that's available that today we are already seeing quite a lot of traction. If you look at the headline numbers, I think our long-term unemployment continues to remain one of the lowest. And even for our resident unemployment today, the numbers are actually, even though they are not sort of at zero, it will never be at zero, but I think they are at a level that it's actually around about pre-COVID time. The next thing that we are exploring in terms of the job task force is to also investigate deeper to see whether how prevalent and how widespread this displacement that some members think exists and underemployment would be. So those are the things that we are looking into as well. Thank you.
Ms. Heniso?
I understand from Minister's response earlier that about 57% of the job vacancies have continued to be left unfilled after 6 months. In this regard, I wish to find out whether the options such as the career trials or place and train programs have ever been explored by these employers of the job vacancies. If yes, whether there have been any findings on why such initiatives were unsuccessful in filling these job vacancies. If the answer is no, do we actually know the reasons behind why there's a reluctance from these companies in considering the adoptions of such job placement programs?
I thank Ms. Heniso for her question. Now, there will always be a certain level of job vacancies in a properly functioning labour market. Sometimes the job vacancies could just be due to a skills mismatch, where the job seekers may not have the full set of requisite skills to be ready for the job. So, as I've shared, this is where the career conversion programs come in. Sometimes we even go above that. We actually work with the companies to develop these company training committees to ensure that the job seekers have a proper sort of market clearing opportunity for them to be able to match up to the expectations of the employers. In many of the employers who have actually worked with us to adopt this approach, they found out that actually the people whom they hire, and even then the middle-aged workers and above, because of the experiential wisdom, the aptitude and the attitude, they've actually found that after that conversion program, that upskilling, the reskilling, they actually found that they actually become pretty good fit. And for those who went through this, earlier on I shared that statistic that 9 in 10 that was placed through the CCP programs actually remained employed in the same company after 24 months. And 70% of them, about 7 in 10, actually earn more than their last round salary. So you can see that these programs that we put up, we are beginning to see quite good traction. I think we need to let it run a bit more, because you need to give it that runway to before it tapers off or it plateaus off. Then we can either reinforce or pivot to a new program to build upon it. So if you look at it, since April 2020, just the SG United Jobs and Skills Package alone, Workforce Singapore, WSG, has placed more than 14,000 locals into these CCPs. Now, there are still employers who would just prefer a plug and play. I think ostensibly because some of them are in very high growth and they keep getting new business coming all the time. They have no time to think about training you and having that so-called comfort zone of and that spare capacity or bandwidth to train. But we encourage these employers to fundamentally adopt some form of a mindset change as well. And for the people who are coming on to be trained, I think for them, the confidence in themselves, the adaptability is also fundamentally important because it takes two hands to clap. So through your question, it's obvious that we have thought through this very carefully. What, if I may borrow, or leverage on your question, would be that if I can leverage on everyone here to reach out to all of your communities and the employers and the businesses and so on, to fundamentally change the mindset where they can be a lot more forgiving in terms of when they are in their hiring, and see, because different people have different skill sets, that even though it may not necessarily fill that immediate job role, but if the company has that latitude, you would be able to find something for that Singaporean employee. So I hope that sort of addresses your question. Thank you.